Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of All About Millennials. I'm Kaehla. I'm here with Donaze, and I cannot believe it, but we are here for our 1 month episode, basically. We've survived to the fourth episode. That is incredible.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I'm still hard to believe that just a vision turned into 4 episodes and a month-long deep.
This has been like a year in the making, and we're on our 4th episode. I'm speechless, honestly. Speechless.
Would you say three separate cities though?
For having me be on your 4th episode, it's an honor.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Anytime.
So if you guys can tell, we've got a couple extra voices today, and we want to talk about the dance industry for millennials and its diversity. So, Donaze, I'm going to let you introduce our beautiful guests today.
And today I kind of feel lucky. And when I say lucky, I mean, yes, I'm the Joker, but today I'm surrounded by 3 queens. So what's better than that? And as I kind of posted earlier this week on Instagram, and it went on over to my Facebook, I was touching on something that you have to evolve and learn from your past, your present, and your future. And with that being said, I'd like to introduce a couple of friends of mine. One I've known, Kaehla I've known since I was in Orlando. Jianne Pingul, who I've known since 2011, 2012, back in Indianapolis. And then who's now working with Creative Dance Academy. And now also my dear friend and colleague, Reina Santa, over at Fusion Movement, which I have brought up a couple occasions here. And how's it going, ladies?
Hi.
Yeah.
Well, hello. Thanks for the intro, Donaze. That's pretty amazing, and I see you as a great friend too. So thanks for the kind words.
Even though I'm a bit of a troll.
We got to have a troll out in everyone. But yes, thank you so much. I have known Donaze for a while, and I've always admired and loved his passion for dance in any way, whether that be community or industry related, but you've always kept such a strong passion for what we love.
Yeah, and I do agree with that, and that's why I wanted you guys on here. And as you guys can tell, since we are now, and this is a couple of announcements that I should have brought in with, we're now on YouTube, not just Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all that jazz. We're all of different ethnicities and everything. So today, with the diversity that is really within all creativity, all within the dance industry, I wanted to touch on a couple of brief but very hefty, really suggestions or topics within that mindset of the industry. So let's dive in, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it. So, I wanna ask you a couple questions, Donaze, because you yourself are a dancer. So any of these topics today also apply to you. And I want to know, does your race or gender define you as a dancer?
Ooh, well, not just as a dancer, but also I would say as a person, it kind of does, because it really goes into almost stereotypes. I could easily see myself getting classified as only knowing hip hop or only knowing R&B tracks, and you could easily look at my own Spotify and I'm like, where was all this coming from? Or I've gotten the questions of why am I listening to heavy metal or alternative music versus your 90s East Coast or West Coast music.
Right. So what got you into entertainment, into dance, especially given that how you feel might be a little bit differently than what people perceive you as, or how did this all come about?
Starting with show choir, but almost breaking my, and this is going to be funny, but and a little bit embarrassing, but I almost broke my foot when I was younger, like dancing in my kitchen. And you know those old school TVs, that the big boys, and just one on my foot.
No way.
Yeah. And oddly enough, it just popped the bone out of place because I popped it back in after putting my shoes on.
So that's when you first learned how to pop it and lock it.
Yeah. Essentially, yes, but
I'm just kidding. Wow, that's crazy.
and,
That must have hurt so bad.
and yet I was only like 10 when that happened. And yet show choir all
You
throughout my to getting like really refining myself to now it's just like staying active and doing random dance challenges. But it's
Yeah.
not
I've
just
seen
about me. And can we pass this question over to Jane first?
Let's do it.
Yep.
Sure. So I want to answer your first question. If diversity affects me in dance, and in some ways yes, in some ways no. I have to say that the industry, just based on the nature of castings, there are many times when I'm put in a box as an Asian, or they're looking for someone with blonde hair, and I changed my hair to blonde, not because of those opportunities, but because I wanted to have a different look than all the other Asians that were out there, Asian females that they might have been casting. But it doesn't it does allow me for more ambiguity. I think being a Filipino in America, yeah,
I'm half, you know.
I love that. But it's a great, like, I don't know, for me it was always an advantage. Because I could never really be put in a box, even just growing up in school, and like I was able to immerse myself in every culture, and I was pretty much welcomed. I don't think I was ever excluded. I was more welcomed, and I think that is what allows me in the dance industry to explore just different styles. Like nobody knows, and I think that actually applies to anyone. I feel like no one should put you in a box based on your skin color or based on your race. I think you should be able to choose whatever style resonates with you or whatever music resonates with you. And so I think that for me, diversity has just been an advantage more than it has been a setback.
I love that take on it. And when you were first saying, in the ways that, not to put a negative light on it, but this is a question that I thought of when you were speaking. You said sometimes castings might look for a certain image and maybe they just saw you as something completely different. I see that in acting because I've been there, and I've seen that not so much in singing, but in dance. Would they really look for a role like that? Like they would specify people based on their physical appearance?
Absolutely.
No?
Yeah. It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
just like a stereotype in the industry. It's because of who they market to and who they want their audience to relate with. So it's understandable and usually questionable, but there are a lot of things. A lot of people would be really insulted by or offended by some of the castings, but they don't realize there's other opportunities where their look fits so well for other roles that need to be filled. And
Right.
I like to look where I fit, and I'm not looking to change for a casting. I'm looking for a mutual benefit between me and like a job in general.
And what's your style of dance?
So I started with breakdancing. That's like my hidden secret that I have out here that I don't pull out very often. But
Not to like say it, but all of my Filipino friends in some way break dance. Like Like, not to,
That's a cliche.
if I was to put us in a box, I mean, I'm terrible, but I try. But my friends were all hip hop and breakdancing, or even my cousins.
Yeah.
Like,
I will try. I purposely well, the reason I did breakdancing is because I couldn't make it onto the choreo team in college. And now I totally could, but I couldn't at the time. And so I was like, well, I know the choice. I want to dance. And I thought it was the most badass thing in the world. So I don't know how to say that, but I thought it was just the coolest thing in the world. And I was pretty competitive. I grew up with like 7 brothers. So I was like, oh, I want to be the only female that's like breakdancing, and I want to be better than all y'all.
that's so cool. It's way, and that kind of goes into like the gender thing too, like breaking those barriers.
Oh,
That's great. I love
I
that.
wasn't trying to, but it happened. And then it's funny because, I mean, this is the last thing I'll say, but it led me to actually missing my feminine side. And so when I moved to Los Angeles to go pursue choreography, or like do choreographed dancing and industry type work, I purposely took like heels classes, and I obsessively took them. Like I would take them whenever they were available, because I was like, I don't know how to feel like a woman. I'm always like this aggressive dude-like dancer because I'm in hip hop. Yeah, she gets me. I can see her nodding.
Yeah, I think I'm the queen of stank faces, and
Okay.
getting into trouble on the dance floor, I'm always battling someone. So
Can I say this real quick? I'll interject and I'll hype you up real quick, Jane. Like, and I remember this combo when I first moved out here a couple years ago.
Mhm.
And it's more so, like, I think I told you, like, who are you and what did you do with you? Because I'm like, wait, what the?
Yeah, no one.
I remember you as the break dancer, because for everybody at home, me and her went through like the same like core group of like mentors and instructors back in Indianapolis, or shall I just say all of Indiana since you were in Bloomington?
Yeah.
But still, it's like that entire network, if you say like Battleground Zero, knows each other and we stay connected. But to get back to it, it's like I've known you as the breaker and for so long, to see like the heel stuff and to see like this elegant glow has just been that encouraging, like so many years later.
wow, I love that.
Well, I've always liked the idea of being unpredictable, and whether that meant being a woman and as a woman female breakdancer, and then like you guys just not expecting me to do heels. I found that really fun. I took a little part in it. That's all.
I love that. Well, I would love to move the conversation forward.
And wait one sec, Kaehla.
Okay.
Reina, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, hi guys. And I've been quiet over here. So I bear with me. I'm in the car, but so if you can't hear me, just let me know. Give me a thumbs up or something. Yeah. So let me kind of just give you a little bit of my background so I can answer the question more properly. So I am the director of Fusion Movement Dance Studios, right? And I'm a brand new women business owner, first generation.
Woo!
I've been dancing since the age of 5 years old. I have been through all stereotypes. I have been through all different diversities. I have met every type of culture in my lifetime. I'm 30 years old now, so I've been in the game for a while. And one of the things that I do have to say is that, yes, you do get stereotypes as a Latina woman. My whole life, as soon as they saw me a dancer, they would always want to put me in salsa, or they'd always want to put me in some type of Latin type of movement. I did acting when I was younger, when I was a child, and yes, I got stereotyped, oh, a little Latina woman, so we're going to put her into this role, or fiery, or angry, or upset, because that's what Latina women are stereotyped as out there, right? But I will say that, learning all different types of cultures in every section in the dance world, we're all the same at the end of the day. We all have this passion of love for dance. We all have, we want to express ourselves through the art of movement. And so diversity is a big thing, I think, when it comes to dancing, but it's how you roll with it, and and how you continue being passionate about dance. And it's just like anything in life. If you really want to stick onto it, you're gonna be great at it. Yeah, so that's my answer.
I think
Did
that's
that answer
beautiful.
that question?
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. And so, what was your background? Did you do everything? Tap, jazz, ballet?
Yeah, definitely.
Starting so young.
Started with. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Can you hear us now?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Give it a second. It's better.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah,
Can
there you
hear
go.
me? Okay, great. Yeah, I
Yes.
started with ballet. Went into tap. Went into contemporary. Then I did a little bit of hip hop, and then I finalized with ballroom. Ballroom became my passion, and I teach American smooth, American rhythm, and as well as the social world. So I know about over 20 different types of dances. So like I said, the different cultures, I've seen it, and I'm really proud that I was blessed and had the opportunity to learn all these different styles.
I love that. And where did you grow up? Because they're both Midwesterners. My dad's from the Midwest. I grew up in Florida.
So I grew up in a city called Palmdale, California, but I traveled a lot. So it's tricky. I traveled to Germany. I traveled to Florida, to New York, to Washington, D.C., to Colombia. So I grew up, in LA, Los Angeles, but I would travel a lot back to my hometown in Colombia a lot, and but that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that just enforces like learning so many different cultures and how that can become your advantage when you're trying to break through in an industry that is kind of behind the times sometimes, so to speak. Just push through that. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you. I just want to say that, it's truly, I always tell all dancers, to always go out and see all different types of cultures, all different types of styles. Obviously we're always going to have, our baby, what we like the most. But I do encourage dancers to always go out and see different cultures, because it truly does open the eye, and it even like makes you move differently in a certain way, like my company is called Fusion Movement, and because I know all these different styles, I don't want it to categorize it in one specific dance. And so I decided to fuse different types of dances. So me being culturally aware of different ethnicities, diversities, everything, it really did help me become an overall better dancer.
Yes.
And boss lady.
Yes. Well, that next time I'm in LA, I'm definitely coming to you guys.
Yes, please come out, and you're more than welcome to come to the studio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Wrong side. Yes.
Wait, where's your studio located?
My studio is located in Palmdale, California.
Okay.
So it's about 45 minutes?
Yeah, about 45 from
45 from LA.
Okay.
Yeah, from the heart of LA.
From what? Yeah.
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 But I will be soon opening another studio, hopefully in Silmar, California. So I will let you know on that one too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna follow you on Instagram.
Thank you. Yeah.
Which I'm gonna add all this later for the infomercial, and I was gonna do a commercial for that, but my big thing when it just comes down to it, and I've just been admired just with the willingness to just travel and just looking at what's going on within just this little group. I see so many different just backgrounds, and not only that, like location, geographical backgrounds. So my thing, I do think I just think the geographical standards are just different for everybody when it comes to just who's kind of the acceptor or what's kind of the standard when it comes to any industry, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm good, but it's just like, wow, a lot to take in, man.
But it's like empowering. Like
Right.
you brought on 3, not to brag about us, but I can see very, very independent and hardworking females that are just so passionate about entertainment and just owning their, I guess, feminine energy. Not to like start talking about that, but hold on. The wind is making weird noises. But
Okay.
you've brought on 3 ladies that are just like yes, 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 like and that's just like so motivating.
And I am inspired by all y'all, and it's not just by just knowing each and everyone and gaining the knowledge and the friendships. And I think I've passed on a little bit prayerfully, fingers crossed. I don't, but it's more so just learning and accepting of other people for who they are, regardless of like, oh, this person can only do or only known for one style versus just what's going on there. And with
Yeah.
with that being said, let's toss it a break.
Yo, guess what?
What?
Seriously, with this podcast thing, I don't know if you know that there is a free tool for us to upload and edit our podcasts.
You lying?
No, I'm serious. All you have to do is download Anchor and it'll distribute your podcast for you to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of the streaming platforms.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Okay.
Wait a second. We use Anchor.
We do?
Hell yeah.
Touche, yeah.
All right, you guys got to get on that. Welcome back to episode 4 of All About Millennials, where we're talking about diversity in dance. We have 2 beautiful ladies telling us what it really means for them to be someone of ethnicity in the dance industry. And I say that it is a pretty positive thing to have such expansive knowledge on different cultures and what that really entails in the learning process. So thank you, ladies, so much. We're going to be moving on to another great topic. And we're just going to talk a little bit about dance in general for those who may be interested. So let's just go in the same order. And is learning to dance still accessible to a newcomer, aka me?
Now, it depends, and the way I have it broken down in my notes, online versus in person, is it accessible by age? Is it accessible by the session rates? Is it accessible by the class size? I would say yes to a certain extent. And the reason I say that, there's one I didn't put on here, and that's location, which we kind of touched on a little bit briefly, but I want to dive into that one specifically because, like, we could have those classes in the heart of like the city or heart of the state that you could easily get to, easily accessible for virtually everybody. But in turn, it's like not everybody can make those out in downtown, but there's really nothing outside of that whole strip of studios that you can easily access. But then you have 1 or 2 off in the corner that you could get to, but that you could go to, but not everybody can get to or even know about.
Right. So location as in like rural versus urban or suburban kind of lifestyle and
Right.
how someone can access something like that. Now, I have no experience in professional dancing. I did some musical theater when I was little, and my mom used to dance, so I basically learned everything off the streets. I air quote that. Basically, I learned everything from her. But I have looked into dance studios in Orlando, Florida, and LA because I've grown up watching So You Think You Can Dance and Step Up and Missy Elliott music videos. And so I guess to expand on my question is, for someone who is so eager um, and that looks up to these top dancers, could I still get an adequate learning experience given that I wouldn't be able to get into those dance studios where they necessarily teach, the top A-list whatever studios or whatever?
Regardless of how much you're willing, and I say this, willing to pay, it's still accessible because YouTube is a blessing, even though sometimes people can get annoyed by it. YouTube is a blessing in disguise. And what I mean by that, there are so many tutorials on YouTube for free right now to where people that have zero dance experience can easily go from zero to studio quality, ready for a tour like within a few months if you really just practice like daily,
I'll go ahead and answer one of that question as well. I think that, a lot of beginners always come in saying, oh, I want to learn how to dance. But it's also, you need to be aware, it is a physically demanding sport. Do you know what I mean? So it's not just, hey, I want to learn to dance. And dance is that. It's dance and having fun. But it's also, you need to be aware, can your body physically take, the demands that it requires, So if we're talking about you want to go into a studio where all the A-listers are at, absolutely. I encourage everybody to always, go out and pursue what they want to do. There is no no. There is no no. You have to reach out and go out and get what you want. But I will say that maybe as a beginner, start taking steps to getting there, but you should not ever limit yourself to or ever be intimidated. Oh, these A-listers. Just take, just be aware of what you can handle, and, get more knowledgeable and what you can do and what you want to do, and just move from there. Never, ever say no.
I love that.
Good.
And I'm sure your classes are pretty accessible for those that want to do any sort of level that they're comfortable with.
All levels. I always, there in the dance industry, there's, open level, there is beginner level, there's intermediate, there's advanced, right? A lot of my classes are open level. It's for general. And then I analyze, or the instructor analyzes at what level you're at. And so maybe we'll talk to you, we'll communicate one-on-one. Hey, maybe you need this more, you need this level more. It's all about, I always encourage going maybe to an open level first. That's how you will determine where you're at in life, in the dance life.
Love it.
I wholeheartedly agree with her. Just, I didn't think I explained what my background was, but I've just been pursuing professional dance for, I guess almost 4 years. But I just know that a lot of people, a lot of kids, I was one of them, coming to LA and expecting like me being able to catch on to what everyone else was doing. But you're in class with people who have been doing this since they could walk. And you have to be aware. She's so right. You have to be aware of where you're at, but also don't be intimidated, because you just have to know where to look. And like, I think I like to say that if you come to LA knowing yourself already, you have a superpower. Because I think a lot of people get lost in thinking that they need to do a certain style, or they need to learn, be at a certain level to be able to even be there, or, eat at the same table is what people like to say. But, I think it's good when people not only challenge themselves, but they explore. They're humble enough to go to the beginner classes and learn about the foundation and learn about, you know, where did this come from? Why is everyone, you know, why are we moving like this anyway? Like, because it's not a lack of resources for dance. It's about resourcefulness, and like luckily all the teachers are on IG Live now. It's open. It's like, how do I compare this? This is a really weird comparison, but it's almost like the stock market. Right now it's crashed, so it's like everyone's at a level playing field. Well, it's kind of happened for the dance industry where like all the classes are kind of all available now, so we all have access to go learn and be professional. It's about whether or not you're going to sit on your couch or if you're going to go train. You know, the only disadvantage is that we don't get the energy in the room or the personal instruction from another instructor. But there are also stories of these top dancers or the professional dancers that have that used to do this, where they used to go home and like imitate choreography from the TV shows or VHSs, and then they would send footage to the choreographers and they would ask for feedback. That's still a thing to do, where you can send videos to these choreographers that you look up to for feedback. They may not always answer you, but they like to. I know that one of my first mentors told me, closed mouths don't get fed. So you might as well shoot your shot.
Yeah. Well, I love that advice.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, and just fighting for what you want, especially when it comes to any form of entertainment. Yes, I know it's just within the dance industry, but just sitting on the sideline and not at least taking the advantage and sending out even a simple making your own demo reel, making your own stuff, and then sending that to even a few friends on, hey, how can my lines get cleaner? How can I get a little sharper? What can I do to stay ahead of the curve?
I also love what she said earlier about like, don't forget to have fun. Like being in open level class, to enjoy it, because that will take you farther than trying to become something.
Yeah, I love that. I could watch dance all day. And I know a lot of people don't understand that. And hindsight, I could have focused more on it. But, you know, everybody finds their niche, like you're talking about, like just owning what you gravitate towards. And I love seeing people that discover that or just own themselves. I love that.
And I think just taking advantage of, like, yes, we all have our go-to styles, but then being able with the open level and the beginner level classes, just in another style as almost a free set and a fresh break away from just drilling one style, to where you're almost in a way resenting the style you love doing. For me, it's crumping and isolations. For Jane, it's breaking out heels. For Reina, I forget how many styles. I can't even count anymore.
It's polka for her. I'm just kidding.
Polka would be it. Matter of fact, that's going added to this. Like, you know any polka instructors?
I've done a little polka. I've jumped in on a polka dance at West Side Comedy, because for some reason during their annual party we had polka.
Oh my gosh. I just want to watch the footage and try and keep a straight face.
I'll send it to you. I mean, I obviously chose comedy for a reason, so.
Yeah.
But isn't it amazing that you just jumped in there? You know, you just took and you're, you know what, I'm gonna do this, and there is nothing wrong with the basics. Master the basics. If you got that, you look good.
To be honest, my friend, I thought she was going to disown me as a friend, because I brought her to LA for like 4 days, and one of the things I wanted to do was visit this comedy club that I wanted to be a part of, and they were hosting this party, and she walks in and goes, "What are we doing here?" And of course she just, you know, lets me do my thing, and she's like, "Kaehla, if you don't get on stage, then you better."
just try and take advantage and just master the basics and learn, really take advantage of all aspects, you know? And I do think even with that, I'm like, wow. And is age even a number anymore when it comes to dance, or is it just a suggestion? Because I've seen some from as young as like 5 or 6, all the way up until like their 50s, which I'm still trying to get my mom back on
I
the
feel like
dance floor.
I feel like as a viewer, I could answer that. I've seen incredible videos just randomly of, actually, I don't remember her name, but she obviously had the help of her mom, but it was some 4-year-old choreographer. Like, she actually had her own dance classes that she taught, probably in LA. Yeah, incredible. And then on America's Got Talent, there was, I think it was ballroom, and it was this, she had to be 80 years old, and she's doing flips and all this crazy stuff. And obviously, there are no limitations except for what you're physically capable of, like you said. But I mean, this lady had it all. This little girl
There
had
is no limitations. Any age, any gender, any style, whoever you are, willing and able, absolutely. You're more than capable.
Exactly, and I completely agree with that. And wow, this is one. And I think the last point I want to bring up for today was more so on class size, because I know that is a major thing for all of us. Like going into a studio and seeing like, oh, this is different. This is insane. And am I going to be able to move? Like, this is too many people. Like, how would you guys suggest like getting over that initial fear of just seeing like those massive classes in like just the major cities we've touched on, LA, New York, Florida, XYZ, whatever?
So I think that the first thing is being self-aware of what you're getting yourself into, right? Obviously, if there's a group class, always expect, 5, 10 people or more, right? You have to be aware of like, hey, okay, I know that it's going to be, a group of people. Now, if you're going into a private lesson, it's just going to be you and the instructor. I think it's being more self-aware, and actually taking that chance of going into this group class, and also being aware of what you're able and what level and what class. It's all about, I feel like, self-awareness. So like every time when I have a new student come in, I honestly, I swear I do this. I say, congratulations on taking the first step. Like
That's
just
always
coming
the
in.
hardest thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is sometimes intimidating to go into a group class in a dance studio, you not knowing anybody and just walking in and like, okay, I'm going to do this. So just that little extra when, they come to my studio, I always tell them, hey, congrats on taking the first step. That's always the hardest thing. It's just walking in. That's the hardest part. But once you get into it, and the beautiful thing about, just people want to dance, right? And so you're going to meet people that are just maybe the same as you, like, hey, you're intimidated, but you just got to get going, the ball rolling, so yeah.
And what about you, Jane?
Love what she said. No, it's intimidating because it's a vulnerable expression to be able to like let your body go, and everyone's watching you, and there's a bunch of strangers that are like, oh, I've never seen you move before. Like, you just feel like you're being judged for being you. But I know actually that you also are talking about those like really popular classes in LA that tend to be like overcrowded and like you can't see anything.
It's mostly I think that they have probably the most expensive marketing, and that's what most people see.
Yeah, it's the
Because there's
video.
obviously endless opportunities in Hollywood, but it's just getting drowned out by the top.
I agree. Well, I think it has a lot to do with what your intention and what your relationship is with dance in general. Like, are you going to class to be seen, or are you going to class because you want to be on the camera, or are you going to class because you actually want to learn? I tend not to go to those classes. Yeah, I'm sure she experiences this too, or has students that are like, oh, I never wanted to dance because it just looks so intimidating. But not everybody has to go be a professional. Like, sometimes we just want to take class to learn something. And that's a big discussion in the industry. It's like, where do you put that line of, okay, well, we need to get footage of people so they can send out resumes, but we also just need to learn something in class today.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, absolutely. Again, it's like self-aware. Like, what is your goal at the end of this class? What do you want out of this class? Because at the end of the day, like, wherever you go, whatever class you take in LA, they need you. Like, so what do you want to get from this? Do you want to be on camera? Do you want to be, a professional? Do you just want to go out social dancing? Do you just want to, just click with somebody? It's honestly self-aware of what your goal is. Absolutely agree with all that.
I love that.
And honestly, for me, it's been more, I just want to get there and, like, I don't care if the full routine, like, is trash at the end of class. I'm more so like, let me just get, if it's even a 4 count, which would just be 4 simple steps down, then I'm happy. And then just go full out, have fun, and finish the class. But if I get the rest of the routine down, I'm like, hey.
I can't tell you how happy I was in middle school to learn the jerk, because not everybody can pin drop, and that was my party trick. That hurt my knees a lot. Like, I totally understand the physical aspect of dancing.
Hey, you know what though? You had a goal. You learned the jerk. That was your party goer. So there you go.
Yeah. And now you can get famous off of these dances by TikTok.
I know. I'm terrible at the TikTok dances.
I legit just saw a TikTok that made it so, like, legit. And another thing that I think about it, what are retro dances even coming back? Like, retro dances from, like, the 80s and 90s coming back into style, which is very interesting to me.
So I always say this, a certain style always comes back. It's like a rotating thing, right? And so, yeah, possibly, some retro style may be coming in, but it's like an ending circle. It always comes back. It rotates through, and, some of the best moves we learned from people way back then, and it's just appreciating and making it your own.
Right.
I love that. That transforms into anything.
Exactly. And wow, this has been, I'd like to thank both Jane and Reina for coming through today. And this has been one crazy episode, hasn't it, Kaehla?
Oh, yeah. I think this has been my favorite episode so far. They just keep getting better. And I really enjoyed the topics today. I think because of the passion, and that's why we're in this, is to just share people's passion and their views on things, to really show what millennials are all about.
I would
say, yes.
My whole thing, bro, to give back and just to hype up. And I didn't even realize we were this close to Mother's Day already, but next week is May 1. And would you want to hype up next week's episode, or shall I just hype up the next 2? Because I've already got.
You can hype it up, and then I think we should kind of hype up their social media a little bit, and then.
Oh yeah, that's how I was going to end this real quick.
Yeah.
But with next week, boy, that is going to be a fun little discussion on, is the artist bigger than the arts? Yes, like, there are so many questions regarding, like, I think there are so many artists that we all have grown up with, so many different avenues, but we look at the way the media and how life happens. I'll just leave it at that. And I guarantee you within the dance industry, there's at least 3 offhand immediately how that shapes. But can we separate the artists from the art that they've made that has been revolutionary? And that's next week.
It does depend on the art. Depends on the art.
We'll talk off camera on that one. Because there's a couple in my head that I didn't even was like nervous to play at the studio. And with that being said, follow Reina at.
Yeah, guys, yeah, definitely. Follow my Instagram is Reina Santa Dance. And as well as my dance company, it's called the Fusion Dance Movement. That is for my Instagram. It's called Fusion Movement, but we made that for the handle for Instagram. So Reina Santa Dance and Fusion Movement. So thank you guys for having me.
And follow Jane at.
It's Jianne _Jade. So it's JIANNE_Jade, JADE. Yeah.
Follow the channel on Instagram at all_AM podcast, and subscribe now on YouTube at all AM podcasts on YouTube and wherever all podcasts are shown, aired online. Till then.